Today we're taking my dessert plating principles and applying them to breakfast sandwich toasts. That sounds delicious and worth waking up for, doesn't it? A well-presented dessert always has a sauce, a crunch, and a garnish. Let's keep that in mind and get straight into it. If you want to enjoy fancy breakfast sandwiches, start with a fancy bread. You can use any sliced bread, but a speciality loaf is going to elevate your breakfast experience, not only in looks, but also in taste. Let's pop this ciabatta bread into the toaster. This will give us the crunch component. Our first breakfast sandwich toast is a classic. Bacon with poached egg and hollandaise sauce. It's hard to beat the smell, sound and desire to eat when you've got bacon sizzling in the pan. My preference is to drain the pieces on paper towel briefly so that you don't end up with the greasy oil dripping on your serving plate. Now for the hollandaise sauce. Hollandaise is something that's notoriously hard to make because you're combining two ingredients that don't want to be combined. Many people shy away from making it because they fear it will split and end up down the sink. Well, here's the video you need. No more whisking and you'll have perfect hollandaise sauce in under 5 minutes. The biggest thing to remember for success is that you don't want anything to be cold. Room temperature eggs and water in containers and piping hot butter. Doesn't that look so silky and delicious? I love the vibrant yellow colour. Let's poach an egg. Poaching is a really easy way to cook an egg. It's one of the healthier ways because you're not adding any fat. Although when you add hollandaise, that goes out the window. You need a pot of simmering water. I like to add a little white vinegar to help coagulate the egg whites faster, but you don't need to do this. I also find breaking the egg into a ramekin gives you more control rather than cracking it straight into the pot. Stir the water so that it creates a whirlpool, then drop the egg in the middle. This will help the whites to swirl around the yolk. Some people break the egg into a little strainer to strain off the watery part of the egg white. If you do this, it will get rid of the stringy bits. You only need to cook this for a couple of minutes and you'll have a perfect poached egg. When you take it out of the water, let the water run off and pop it on a piece of paper towel to briefly soak up the excess liquid. It's time to assemble our bacon and poached egg breakfast sandwich. Always put something on the toast. Dry toast never goes down well. Add the bacon. This piece is folded over so that it's not hanging outside the edges of the bread. Then top it with the egg, tucking under any straggly bits, and make sure you have the nicest side of the egg on top, the smooth, rounded bit. Remember, a well-prepared dessert always has a sauce, a crunch, and a garnish. And today, so does our breakfast sandwich. So far, we've got the crunchy toast topped with bacon and egg, so now it's time to add the sauce, our silky smooth hollandaise sauce. The last thing we need to add is a garnish. I found these first little sprigs of new chives popping up in my herb garden this morning. Isn't it amazing what a pop of green can do to a dish? Oh, and don't forget the seasoning. Yum! Is it breakfast time yet? Let's make another delicious breakfast sandwich option with avocado, tomato and cottage cheese. We'll keep our dessert plating principles in mind. This time I've got an avocado. I'm going to mash it so it'll be a nice smooth base layer on the toast. Don't forget to season it. It will make it taste better. Then add a squeeze of lemon juice. I love the little hint of lemon flavour, but it's also an important addition to stop the avocado going brown. I'm going to slice the tomatoes into rings. Make sure you have the core piece on the side so you get nice circles, keeping the central core intact. Let's use a multigrain bread this time. It's darker in colour than a white loaf and should look and taste good with the toppings we're using. For presentation purposes, I'm going to cut the crusts off and make rectangular toasts. I'm using one piece as a guide to get the other the same size. Of course, if this was just for our family, I would cut the toast in half and leave the crusts on. Now we can generously add the avocado, but try not to let it fall off the edge of the toast. This will look tidier. Isn't that a gorgeous green? I've added the avocado straight onto the toast because I don't feel like adding butter is necessary. You won't taste it and it won't achieve anything. But if it's your preference to add it, by all means go ahead. You can add whatever appeals to your tastes. Then add the tomato slices. When you want to be fancy, choose the more central pieces of the tomato and make sure you use 3 or 5 slices. An odd number is proven to look better to the eye than an even number. These off-cut bits can always go into your next casserole or freeze them for sauce. They're too good to be wasted. A sauce, a crunch and a garnish. What have we got so far? Crunchy toast, a lovely contrasting soft avocado mash and tomato. Let's add some balsamic reduction for the sauce component. It's both complementary and a delicious flavour addition. Then add a blob of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese and tomatoes just go together, don't they? The last component we need to add is the garnish. And you know what? I think black sesame seeds will complement the dark balsamic reduction. Have you used these before? They're less refined and full of nutrients, but it's their colour that appeals to me most. Do you think it's enhanced these toasts? I've also got some snow pea shoots to use as a garnish. Yum! These are pretty gourmet breakfast sandwiches. Perfect for when you want to be fancy. Serving beautiful food doesn't need to be complicated or use expensive ingredients, does it? The last breakfast sandwich toast idea could just about pass for dessert. So adding dessert principles to this won't be hard. A blueberry compote and cottage cheese toast with lemon and mint. Sounds delicious, doesn't it? A compote is a simple, chunky, syrupy sauce that can be made with almost any fruit. From a presentation point of view, it's an excellent addition to elevate any dessert, both in flavour and visual appeal. This one is very simple, just blueberries, a little maple syrup for sweetness, vanilla essence for flavour, and some lemon zest and juice, simmered together until it's soft and syrupy. Isn't that a gorgeous deep colour? Let's get our bread cut and into the toaster. I often say, it's so easy to make beautiful food, and this toast we're making definitely illustrates that point. While it's in the toaster, let's prepare the garnishes. I've got a mint tip and a fresh lemon to zest. I love the delicate curls you can get using this zester rather than a microplane. There's also no pith, just the zingy yellow skin without the bitterness. Let's add a generous blob of cottage cheese to the toast. It adds a mild and faintly sour flavour. Perfect when mixed with the soft, lightly sweetened blueberry compote. There's no need to butter this, as the cottage cheese is acting as our spread. Don't you love that stark colour contrast too? I'm adding it carefully so that it all stays on tidily without dripping everywhere. The compote acts as our sauce component here. The toast is the crunch, and as for the garnish, we've got our delicate lemon curls and a mint tip for colour. This is so simple, yet so delicious. This is also so simple, yet so delicious. Go check it out and add another breakfast idea with plating principles to your repertoire. See you over there.